The industrial cleaning cart rattles as I push it down the marble hallway of the Regent Tower's executive floor. It's 11 p.m. on a Thursday, and the building is mostly empty except for security guards and people like me, invisible workers who scrub away the evidence of other people's lives after dark. My reflection catches in the polished chrome of the elevator doors as I wait. Dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer can hide anymore. Hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. The gray uniform that marks me as part of the night cleaning crew for Jensen Commercial Services. 3 years ago, I had a master's degree in art history and worked at a gallery in Soho. 3 years ago, my name was on exhibition catalogs, and I spent my days discussing brushwork and composition with collectors who flew in from Milan and Tokyo. 3 years ago, my sister wasn't dying of cancer, and I wasn't working 3 jobs to pay for treatments insurance won't cover. The elevator dings. I push the cart inside and hit the button for the 42nd floor, the penthouse level, where the real money lives and works, where men like Dominic Salvatore run empires from corner offices with views that cost more per square foot than most people make in a year. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. I've cleaned Salvatore's office exactly 3 times before tonight, always after midnight, always when he's supposedly gone for the day. The first time, 2 months ago, my supervisor Maria gave me specific instructions that felt more like warnings. You go in, you clean, you leave. You don't touch anything on the desk. You don't look at any papers. You don't open any drawers. You definitely don't answer the phone if it rings. She'd gripped my arm hard enough to bruise. And Sofia? If he's still there working late, you apologize and come back another night, mister. Salvatore values his privacy. I'd nodded, understanding what she really meant. Men like Dominic Salvatore aren't just wealthy businessmen. They're dangerous, connected, the kind of powerful where people whisper their names instead of saying them out loud. The office takes up the entire southwest corner of the 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the Manhattan skyline, the city lights spreading out like fallen stars. The furniture is minimalist but clearly expensive. A massive desk made of dark wood that probably cost more than a car, leather chairs that smell like money, artwork on the walls that my trained eye recognizes as original pieces worth hundreds of thousands. But it's the photographs that always catch my attention. There are only 2 in the entire office, both of the same woman. One on the credenza behind his desk, her laughing, dark hair caught by wind, sunlight making her glow. The other on a side table, a formal portrait, elegant and composed, wearing a navy dress and a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She was beautiful. Past tense, because Maria told me the second time I cleaned here. His wife died 2 years ago. Car accident on the FDR. He hasn't been the same since. That's why he works late every night. Why he barely speaks to anyone. Why you don't want to be here if he is. Tonight the office is dark when I unlock it with my master key. Good. I can clean efficiently and get out. Make it to my sister's apartment by 1 a.m. to help her with her medication before catching 4 hours of sleep and heading to my morning shift at the coffee shop. I flip on the lights and begin my routine. Dusting first, working my way around the room systematically. The credenza, the bookshelves lined with legal texts and what looks like Italian literature. I'm careful around the photographs, using the special microfiber cloth for the frames. The bracelet on my wrist catches the light as I work. I'd almost forgotten I was wearing it. I found it 3 weeks ago at a estate sale in Brooklyn. The kind of sad affair where someone's entire life gets picked over by strangers looking for bargains. An old woman had died, no family to claim her things, everything being sold to pay final debts. I'd only gone because estate sales sometimes have hidden art pieces, small paintings or drawings that get overlooked, that I can buy cheap and sell for enough to add a little extra to Elena's treatment fund. I didn't find any art, but I found the bracelet in a jewelry box full of costume pieces. It stood out immediately, clearly real, clearly valuable, clearly something that didn't belong, mixed in with the fake pearls and tarnished chains. White gold, delicate but substantial, with a pattern of intertwined vines etched along its length. 3 small emeralds set at intervals, winking green fire under the fluorescent lights of the estate sale. It was marked $5, probably because whoever priced it didn't look closely enough to realize it was real. I'd hesitated, knowing I should tell someone, knowing that bracelet was worth thousands, that it represented someone's memories, someone's love made tangible. But then I thought about Elena's latest round of chemotherapy costing $12,000 that we didn't have. About the experimental treatment her oncologist mentioned that insurance called not medically necessary. About the second mortgage on our parents' house that I'd taken out and was drowning under. I bought the bracelet for $5, took it to 3 different jewelers for appraisals. $14,000, $18,000, $21,000. If I found the right buyer. I'd been wearing it for 3 days, working up the courage to actually sell it. Telling myself it wasn't stealing, I'd bought it legally, paid what was asked, but feeling the weight of it on my wrist like an accusation. I'm wiping down the desk when I hear it. The sound of a key in the lock. The door opening. My heart stops. I spin around, clutching the cleaning cloth like it might protect me. Dominic Salvatore stands in the doorway. He's taller than I expected from the brief glimpses I've caught in building security footage. 6'2", maybe more. Dark hair swept back from a face that's all sharp angles and controlled power. He wears a black suit that fits like it was made specifically for his body, which it probably was. No tie, the top button of his white shirt undone. Like he'd started the day perfectly put together and slowly unraveled as the hours passed. But it's his eyes that freeze me in place. Dark brown, almost black, and holding something that makes my breath catch. Not anger at finding someone in his office. Something worse, something emptier. Grief. The kind that's carved out everything inside and left only a shell behind. I'm sorry. The words tumble out. I didn't know you were still here. I can come back. I move toward my cart, ready to flee. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. You're the new cleaner. His voice is rough, like he hasn't used it much today. There's an accent underneath the words. Italian, slight but present. Maria mentioned she was rotating staff. Yes, sir. Sofia Russo. I'll leave. I'm sorry for the intrusion. You're already here. He walks past me to the bar cart in the corner, pours amber liquid into a crystal glass. Finish your work. I have calls to make. He moves to his desk. And I should leave anyway. Should apologize again and go. But I need this job. All 3 of my jobs. Can't afford to seem difficult or inflexible. So I turn back to my cart, hands shaking slightly as I gather supplies to clean the windows. I'm hyper-aware of him as I work. The way he sits in his chair, spine rigid, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. The way his jaw clenches when he picks up his phone, has a brief conversation in rapid Italian that sounds like business numbers, locations, agreements made in code. I'm halfway through the windows when he speaks again. How long have you worked for, Jensen? The question startles me. In my experience, people like him don't make small talk with people like me. 4 months, sir. You're overqualified. I glance over my shoulder. He's watching me now, really watching, with an intensity that makes my skin prickle with awareness. Excuse me? The way you looked at the Caravaggio when you came in. He gestures to one of the paintings. Most people don't recognize it. You not only recognized it, you assessed its condition and authenticity in about 3 seconds. That's not a skill cleaning services usually require. Heat rises to my cheeks. I'd tried not to look at the paintings too closely, not to reveal that part of myself. I studied art history. Before what? Before life happened. I turned back to the windows, scrubbing harder than necessary. I needed work that paid better than gallery assistant positions. This is honest work. I wasn't suggesting otherwise. There's something different in his tone now. Curiosity, maybe. What would you be doing instead, if life hadn't happened? I shouldn't answer. Should maintain the professional distance between employer and employee, between his world and mine. But something about the late hour, the empty building, the exhaustion weighing on both of us, loosens my tongue. Curating exhibitions, writing catalog essays, teaching people to see art instead of just looking at it. I move to the next window, spending my days with beautiful things made by people who understood that creating something lasting was worth the struggle. Silence stretches behind me. Then, that's a good answer. I finish the windows and move to vacuuming the carpet. The sound fills the space, preventing conversation, giving me time to steady my nerves. He goes back to his computer, making notes on paper with a fountain pen that probably costs more than my monthly rent. I'm emptying his trash can when the bracelet slides down my wrist, catching the light from his desk lamp. Everything changes in that instant. I feel it before I see it, the way the air in the room suddenly shifts, becomes dense and difficult to breathe. I look up. Dominic Salvatore has gone absolutely still, not the relaxed stillness of someone at rest, but the terrifying immobility of a predator that's just spotted prey. His eyes are locked on my wrist, on the bracelet. All the color has drained from his face. Where did you get that? His voice comes out barely above a whisper, but it cuts through the room like a blade. My mouth goes dry. Get what? He's around the desk before I can step back, moving with a speed that doesn't match his earlier exhaustion. His hand closes around my wrist, not painfully, but with absolute control, holding my arm up so the bracelet catches the light. The single word vibrates with something I can't identify. Where did you get this bracelet? I bought it, at an estate sale. My heart hammers against my ribs. In Brooklyn. 3 weeks ago. I paid for it. I have a receipt. What estate sale? He's still holding my wrist, his grip tightening slightly. What address? I don't remember exactly. Somewhere in Park Slope. An old woman died. They were selling her things. Catherine DeLuca. He says the name like it explains everything. Like it's the answer to a question he's been asking for 2 years. You bought this from Catherine DeLuca's estate. I don't know her name. There was no family listed. Just, there wouldn't be. He releases my wrist abruptly, turning away. When he faces me again, his expression has transformed into something harder, more dangerous. That bracelet belonged to my wife. I gave it to her on our first anniversary. She was wearing it the night she died. The floor seems to tilt beneath my feet. That's not possible. The accident, they would have returned her belongings to you. They returned most of her belongings. His voice has gone flat, emotionless in a way that's worse than anger. Not the bracelet. The police said it must have been thrown from the car during impact, that it was probably in the East River or ground into the FDR's asphalt, that I'd never see it again. He moves closer, and I force myself not to back away. But here it is, on the wrist of a woman cleaning my office at midnight, and I need to know how Catherine DeLuca got it. I need to know why a woman who had no connection to my wife had something that should have been buried with her. I don't know. I fumble with the clasp, hands shaking so badly I can barely manage it. Here, take it. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Stop. He catches my hands before I can remove it. I'm not accusing you of anything. You bought it legally, you said. For how much? $5. The admission feels like a confession. Something that might be a laugh escapes him. Bitter and sharp. $5. For a bracelet I paid $18,000 for. For the last piece of her I thought was lost forever. His hands are still covering mine, warm and steady despite the tremor I can feel running through him. And you were going to sell it, weren't you? That's why you've been wearing it. Working up courage. There's no point lying. Yes, I need the money. For what? That's none of your business, Mr. Salvatore. It became my business the moment you walked into my office wearing my dead wife's bracelet. His dark eyes bore into mine. Tell me why you need money badly enough to wear a stolen family heirloom while scrubbing other people's floors. The words strike something raw in me. It wasn't stolen. I bought it. And I scrub floors because my sister has stage 4 breast cancer and experimental treatments cost $250,000. Because our insurance covers exactly none of it. Because someone has to pay for the chance that she might live past 30 years old. Tears burn my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. So yes, I was going to sell it, and I'm not ashamed of that choice. The silence that follows feels like it lasts hours. Dominic Salvatore studies my face with an intensity that makes me feel stripped bare, every secret exposed. Finally, he releases my hands and steps back. Keep it. What? The bracelet. Keep it. He returns to his desk, picks up his glass of whiskey, drains it. Consider it payment. I don't understand. You need money. I need information. He refills his glass, offers me one I shake my head at. Catherine DeLuca was my wife's godmother, Julia's family, but they had a falling out years before I met Julia. We weren't invited to the funeral when Catherine died last year, weren't informed she'd passed until months later. He swirls the whiskey, watching the light refract through it. If Catherine had that bracelet, it means someone gave it to her. Someone who found it at the accident scene, or someone who was there when my wife died. The implication hangs heavy in the air. You think the accident wasn't an accident. I think my wife's car was forced off the road by people who wanted to send me a message. I think the police investigation was inadequate at best, deliberately obstructed at worst. And I think Catherine DeLuca might have known something that got her killed too. He meets my eyes again. That bracelet is evidence. It's also leverage if the wrong people find out it exists, which means you're now connected to something dangerous, whether you want to be or not. My legs feel weak. I sink into one of his leather chairs without permission. This is insane. Welcome to my world, Sofia Russo. He pronounces my name with careful precision, the Italian accent making it sound both foreign and familiar. Now we need to decide what happens next. What happens next is I give you the bracelet, leave, and never mention this to anyone. That would be the smart choice. He sits on the edge of his desk, closer to me than is professionally appropriate. Unfortunately, it's also the choice that puts you at risk. If someone's been watching me, and people always are, they've already seen you wearing that bracelet. Already marked you as connected to me, to Giulia's death, to whatever Catherine DeLuca knew. The implications crash over me like cold water. You're saying I'm in danger just from wearing a bracelet I didn't know was significant. I'm saying you were in danger the moment you bought it, but the danger becomes manageable if you let me protect you. He leans forward slightly. I'll pay for your sister's treatment. All of it. Whatever she needs. Whatever it costs. In exchange, you help me trace that bracelet's path. Help me figure out what Catherine knew and why she had it. I'm a cleaning woman with an art history degree. What help could I possibly be? You have access to places I don't. People talk around service workers like they're invisible. You can ask questions without raising suspicion. His voice softens slightly. And you have the bracelet, which means you might be the one person who can draw out whoever took it in the first place. You want to use me as bait. I want to give you a choice. He stands, crosses to a cabinet, returns with a business card and a phone. This card has my private number. This phone is secure, encrypted, untraceable. Take both. Think about what I'm offering. Your sister's life saved in exchange for helping me find the truth about my wife's death. I should refuse. Should walk out of this office and never look back. Find another job. Sell the bracelet to someone who doesn't know its history. Should protect Elena and myself from the dangerous world this man inhabits. But Elena has 3 months, maybe less. The treatments she needs cost more than I could earn in 5 years working my 3 jobs combined. And Dominic Salvatore is offering me a way to save her. I take the card, take the phone. I need to think about it. You have 24 hours. He walks me to the door, and I realize how close he's standing, close enough that I can smell his cologne, something expensive with notes of cedar and bergamot. After that, the offer expires. Not because I want to pressure you, but because the longer that bracelet exists, the more danger we're both in from people who want it buried. Why? The question escapes before I can stop it. Why help me at all? You could just take the bracelet, buy my silence, make this my problem instead of yours. Something flickers across his expression. Grief again, but mixed with something else. Something that looks almost like recognition. Because you remind me of her. Giulia. He says his wife's name carefully, like it might break if handled roughly. She would have done exactly what you're doing. Sacrificed everything for someone she loved. Fought against impossible odds because giving up wasn't in her nature. His hand rests briefly on my shoulder. And she would want me to help you. Even if she's not here to tell me so herself. The weight of his touch, his words, his grief made tangible, settles over me like a cloak. When he steps back, I feel the absence like cold wind. 24 hours, I repeat, and leave before I can make a decision I'm not ready for. The elevator ride down feels surreal. I look at the bracelet on my wrist, no longer just a piece of jewelry, but a talisman connecting me to a dead woman, to secrets that got people killed, to a man whose grief has carved him hollow. Outside, the November air is sharp and cold. I pull my coat tighter and start the long subway ride to Elena's apartment. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. The bracelet looks better on you than in an evidence locker. Stay safe, Sofia. DS. I stare at the message, then at the bracelet catching streetlight as I walk. 24 hours to decide whether to step into Dominic Salvatore's dangerous world. To trade my safety for my sister's life. To help a grieving man find answers that might destroy us both. 24 hours to choose between the smart decision and the right one. I already know which I'll make. Elena is asleep when I let myself into her apartment at 1:47 a.m. The living room smells like the lavender oil her hospice nurse recommended for nausea, mixed with something medicinal that no amount of air freshener can mask. I move quietly through the space, checking the medication schedule on the refrigerator, noting that she took her evening dose on time. Her bedroom door is cracked open. I peer inside, see her small form under the blankets, chest rising and falling with the steady rhythm of sleep aided by prescription drugs. She used to be bigger than me, 3 years older. Always the strong one. The one who carried our family after Mom and Dad died in the fire. Now she's 98 pounds of determination wrapped in translucent skin. I sink onto her couch, still wearing my cleaning uniform, the bracelet heavy on my wrist. The secure phone Dominic gave me sits in my pocket like a live grenade. 24 hours to decide. Except there's nothing to decide. Not really. I pull out the phone and type before I can reconsider. I'll help you. But I have conditions. The response comes within 30 seconds. Name them. 1. Elena's treatment starts immediately. All of it, including the experimental therapy. 2. I keep my jobs until she's stable. I won't be dependent on you completely. 3. If this gets too dangerous, I walk away and you still pay for her care. 4. You tell me everything. No more surprises like tonight. The typing indicator appears, disappears, appears again. Finally, agreed on 1, 3, and 4. Number 2 needs modification. Keep one job for appearances, but you're working for me now. I'll match your combined income plus expenses. You're no good to me. Exhausted. I stare at the message, processing what he's really saying, that he needs me. Sharp, rested, ready to play whatever role he's envisioning. That this isn't a side job but a complete reconstruction of my life. What exactly will I be doing for you, tomorrow? My office, 2 p.m. Come through the main entrance this time, not the service elevator. Tell reception you have an appointment with me. We'll discuss details then. I work at the coffee shop until 1. Not anymore. I'll handle it. Get some sleep, Sofia. You'll need it. The presumption should anger me. Instead, I feel something closer to relief. For 4 months I've been drowning, working myself into exhaustion, trying to earn money that would never be enough. Now someone is throwing me a lifeline, even if that lifeline is attached to an anchor that might drag me under in different ways. I set an alarm for 9 a.m. and fall asleep on Elena's couch, the bracelet still on my wrist, dreaming of car accidents and secrets that kill. The lobby of Regent Tower looks different in daylight. All glass and steel and people in expensive suits moving with purpose. I feel conspicuous in my best dress, a simple navy sheath that I usually reserve for gallery openings. I can't afford to attend anymore, but the security guard checks his tablet and waves me through without question. 42nd floor, Miss Russo. Mr. Salvatore is expecting you. The elevator ride up is filled with 2 bankers discussing market trends, and a woman on her phone negotiating what sounds like a multi-million-dollar real estate deal. They don't look at me. I'm invisible to them. Just another anonymous person in a building full of anonymous people. The elevator opens directly into a reception area I didn't see last night. Cream marble floors, mid-century furniture, and a receptionist who looks like she moonlights as a model. She smiles when I approach, professional and warm. Sofia Russo? Yes, Mr. Salvatore asked me to bring you right in. She stands, gesturing for me to follow. Can I get you anything? Coffee, water, espresso? Water. Would be great, thank you. She leads me down a corridor lined with abstract art, original pieces, my trained eye notes, probably worth $250,000 collectively to the massive wooden doors I entered last night. She knocks once, opens without waiting for response. Miss Russo, Mr. Salvatore. Dominic's office looks different in daylight too. The windows that seem dramatic at night are overwhelming now, flooding the space with November sun that makes the city beyond look almost beautiful. He stands at one of those windows, phone to his ear, speaking quiet Italian. He's dressed differently than last night. Still a suit, but charcoal gray instead of black, paired with a white shirt and burgundy tie. The grief that carved his features last night has been carefully masked behind professional competence. Only his eyes give him away, dark and haunted and holding secrets that press against his composure. He ends the call and turns to face me. Sofia, thank you for coming. You didn't leave me much choice. There's always a choice. He gestures to the seating area near the windows, a leather sofa and 2 chairs arranged around a glass. Coffee table. Sit. We have a lot to discuss. The receptionist returns with my water and espresso for Dominic, then disappears. I sit carefully, hyper-aware of the bracelet on my wrist, of how his eyes track it before returning to my face. I made some calls this morning, he says without preamble. Your sister has an appointment at Sloan Kettering next Tuesday. Dr. Miranda Chen, one of the best oncologists in the country. She's already reviewed Elena's case file, and believes she's a good candidate for the combination therapy you've been researching. My throat tightens. That quickly? I'm persuasive when necessary. He sips his espresso. The treatment will be fully covered. I've also arranged for a home health aide to stay with Elena during the days you're working. Someone discreet, trained, trustworthy, working, doing. What, exactly? I'll get to that. He sets down his cup. First, I need you to understand what you're stepping into. What I am, what my family does, and why Julia's death was never just an accident. I take a drink of water, steeling myself. I assumed you were involved in organized crime. Men like you don't have this level of security and paranoia without reason. Organized crime is reductive, but essentially accurate. His tone doesn't change, as if he's discussing the weather instead of admitting to illegal activities. My family has controlled certain operations in New York and New Jersey for 3 generations. Import, export, protection services, entertainment ventures. Some legitimate, some less so. Define less so. Do you really want details that make you complicit? He's right. The less I know about specifics, the safer I am legally. No, but I need to know who your enemies are. Who might have killed your wife? The list is longer than you'd think. He stands, moving to the credenza where Julia's photograph sits. He picks it up with careful reverence. Julia wasn't part of this world. She was a pediatric nurse, worked at NYU Langone. We met when I brought my nephew in for a broken arm. She had no idea who I was, what my family did. She just saw a man who was terrified for a child he loved. His voice has softened, grief bleeding through the professional mask. I should have walked away. Should have protected her by never letting her into my life. But I was selfish. I wanted her so badly I convinced myself I could keep her safe, build walls high enough that nothing could touch her. What happened? We'd been married 4 years. She wanted children. I kept delaying, making excuses, because some part of me knew bringing a child into my world was dangerous. We'd argued about it the day she died. He sets down the photograph carefully. She'd gone to visit Catherine DeLuca, her godmother. They'd been estranged, but Julia was trying to rebuild the relationship. Catherine lived in Park Slope. Julia left there around 9 p.m., never made it home. The police report said she lost control on the FDR, hit the barrier, went into the East River. The police report said what they were paid to say. His voice hardens. There were witnesses who saw another vehicle force her off the road. Those witnesses recanted their statements within 48 hours. The accident scene was cleared before proper investigation could happen. Evidence disappeared. Who has that kind of power? Several people. The Calabrian family, who've been trying to take territory from us for a decade. The Russians, who saw opportunity in my distraction after Julia's death. Even some of my own allies, who thought I'd grown too powerful, too unwilling to share profits. He turns back to me. What I've never been able to figure out is why. Killing her accomplished nothing strategically. It didn't weaken my position. If anything, it made me more ruthless. It didn't start a war that benefited anyone. It was personal, targeted, meant to hurt me in the most profound way possible. And you think Catherine DeLuca knew why? I think Catherine was the last person Julia spoke to before she died. I think my wife told her something, or left something with her, that explains what happened. And I think that's why Catherine ended up dead 6 months ago. The pieces click into place with sickening clarity. She died in her sleep. Natural causes. According to the death certificate, yes. According to the fact that she was 68 and healthy, had just returned from hiking in the Adirondacks, and was found by a neighbor with no signs of struggle less believable. He moves closer to where I sit, and then you walk into my office wearing a bracelet that should be at the bottom of the East River, purchased from Catherine's estate for $5. Tell me that's coincidence, Sophia. It's not. We both know it. Someone planted it there, wanted it found, or Catherine hid it there. Insurance, leverage, evidence against whoever killed Julia. He sits beside me on the sofa, close enough that I can smell his cologne again. That's what you're going to help me find out. Starting with everything you remember about that estate sale. I close my eyes, pulling up the memory. It was 3 weeks ago. Saturday. The address was in Park Slope, but I don't remember exactly. The sale was run by an estate company. They had signs. Everything looked professional. Most of Catherine's things were ordinary. Furniture, dishes, clothes. Nothing particularly valuable except the jewelry box. Which was where? In the bedroom, on a dresser. It was buried under scarves and old purses. I opened my eyes, look at him. I almost didn't see it, but something made me look closer. Like it was meant to be found by someone who'd recognize what they were seeing. Someone with an eye for art and authenticity. His gaze is intense. Someone like you. The implications make my skin prickle. That's insane. How would anyone know I'd be there? Maybe they didn't. Maybe the bracelet was meant to surface eventually, and you were simply the person who found it first. He pulls out his phone, types something quickly. I'm sending you the address of Catherine's apartment. I own the building, bought it after her death through a shell company. The apartment has been untouched, held in probate while lawyers argue about her estate. I want you to go there. Look around with your art historian's eye. Tell me if anything seems out of place, hidden, or significant. When? Today. Now, if possible, I'll have a car take you. He stands, then pauses. There's one more thing you should know. This morning I received a message. Untraceable, sent through channels that very few people have access to. Just 3 words. She's wearing it. Ice floods my veins. Someone's watching us. Someone's always watching. But now they know you have the bracelet. Know you're connected. To me. Which means the timeline has accelerated. He helps me to my feet with unexpected gentleness. You're not safe at your apartment anymore, Sofia, or at Elena's. I'm moving you both to a secure location today. Absolutely not. Elena's too fragile to move, and I'm not abandoning my life. Your life ended the moment you put on that bracelet. His hands rest on my shoulders, not restraining but grounding. I'm not giving you a choice about this. By tonight, you and your sister will be in a property I own in Westchester. 24-hour security, medical staff on site for Elena, everything you need. You can refuse to help me investigate Julia's death, but you can't refuse protection. Not anymore. I want to argue. Want to cling to the independence I've fought so hard to maintain. But the fear in his eyes is real. And the danger clearly isn't theoretical. Fine, but I go to Catherine's apartment first. Alone. Not alone. You'll have security with you. Discreet but present. He releases me, pulls out a key from his desk drawer. Don't touch anything you don't have to. Don't take anything except photographs. And Sofia, he catches my hand, the one wearing the bracelet. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you leave immediately. Call me on that phone I gave you. His thumb brushes across my knuckles, a gesture so intimate it steals my breath. Then he releases me, the professional mask sliding back into place. The car is waiting downstairs. Vincent will drive you. He's my head of security, former military, completely trustworthy. Do what he says without question. I'm not used to taking orders. Get used to it. Your life depends on it now. Vincent turns out to be a man in his 50s with gray temples and the kind of stillness that speaks of serious training. He opens the rear door of a black SUV with tinted windows, nods once, and says nothing as I climb in. The drive to Park Slope takes 40 minutes in midday traffic. Vincent maintains silence. The entire time, his eyes constantly scanning mirrors, checking angles, watching for threats I can't identify. Another man rides in the passenger seat, younger, equally silent, hand resting casually near a bulge under his jacket that I try not to think about. We park outside a beautiful brownstone on a tree-lined street, the kind of neighborhood where young families push expensive strollers and people argue passionately about the best local coffee roasters. Vincent gets out first, surveys the street, then opens my door. 3rd floor, apartment 3B. We'll be in the lobby. You have 20 minutes. What happens after 20 minutes? We leave, whether you're ready or not. Clock starts now. I take the stairs quickly, key gripped in my hand. The hallway on the 3rd floor smells like old wood and the ghosts of home-cooked meals. Catherine's door has a small mezuzah on the frame, worn brass catching afternoon light from a window at the hall's end. The key turns smoothly. The door swings open. I step into a dead woman's life. The apartment is modest but beautiful. Hardwood floors, built-in bookshelves, windows overlooking the street below. It's also clearly been frozen in time. A coffee cup still sits on the kitchen counter, mail stacked on the entry table, a cardigan draped over a chair like Catherine just stepped out and might return any moment. I move through the space systematically, my art history training taking over. Living room first. The furniture is quality but old, probably inherited. The artwork is more interesting, several pieces that look like they might be from the Italian Renaissance, smaller works that wouldn't draw attention but would be worth significant money if authenticated. I photograph everything with my phone, making mental notes. Catherine had taste and education. She valued beauty but not ostentation. This was a woman who understood art's real worth, not just its price tag. The bedroom is where the estate sale had been concentrated. The dresser, where I found the jewelry box, stands empty now, but I examine it carefully. Standard construction, nothing hidden. I check behind it, underneath it, find nothing. The closet is half empty, most of Catherine's clothes already sold or donated. I run my hands along the walls, checking for loose panels or hidden compartments. Nothing. 15 minutes gone. I'm running out of time. I move to the bookshelf in the living room. Catherine was a reader. Classics, Italian literature, art history texts that make my heart ache with recognition. I scan the spines, looking for anything that seems out of place. There. Third shelf. A book that doesn't match the others. Newer. The spine uncreased like it's never been opened. I pull it out carefully. It's a journal. Leather-bound, expensive, filled with handwriting that flows across pages in neat Italian script. My Italian is limited to art terminology, but I recognize dates, recognize names. One name in particular, repeated on nearly every page. Julia. This is Catherine's diary, and it's all about Dominic's dead wife. 18 minutes. I shove the journal into my bag, photograph the empty space on the shelf so I can remember exactly where it was. Then I turn to leave and freeze. There's an envelope taped to the inside of the front door, exactly at eye level, where I couldn't have seen it when I entered, but can't miss now. It has my name written on it in block letters. Sofia Russo. My hands shake as I pull it free. Inside is a single sheet of paper and a photograph. The photograph shows me leaving Regent Tower this morning, taken from across the street, zoomed in enough to capture my face clearly, to show the bracelet on my wrist catching sunlight. The note is typed, emotionless, terrifying in its simplicity. Return what belongs to the dead. Stop asking questions. This is your only warning. There's no signature. No way to trace who left it or when. But the message is clear. Someone knows I was coming here today. Someone wants the bracelet. And someone is willing to threaten me to get it. 20 minutes. Vincent's voice crackles through an intercom I didn't notice by the door. Time's up, Miss Russo. We're leaving now. I grab the envelope and photograph, shove them in my bag with the journal, and run. Vincent takes one look at my face when I reach the lobby, and his entire posture shifts. What happened? Someone left me a message. Knew I was coming. Knew my name. The words tumble out as he hustles me toward the SUV. We need to get out of here. We're pulling away from the curb when I see it. A man standing across the street, watching. He's ordinary-looking, medium height, forgettable face, dark jacket. But something about the way he stands, the way his eyes track our vehicle, makes my blood run cold. He raises his hand, points at me, then draws his finger across his throat. A promise, a threat, a preview of what's coming if I don't obey. Vincent sees it too. Get down. He pushes my head below the window line, accelerates hard. Call Salvatore. Tell him we have a problem. I fumble for the secure phone with shaking hands, dial the only number programmed into it. Dominic answers on the first ring. Sofia? What's wrong? They were waiting for me. They left a note with my name on it. Someone knew I'd be there today, knew exactly when. My voice cracks. Dominic, they have a photograph of me from this morning. They've been following me. Silence on the other end. Then his voice, cold and controlled. Where are you now? In the car. Vincent is driving. There was a man watching when we left. Put Vincent on. I hand over the phone. Listen to Vincent's clipped responses in Italian, watching his expression get grimmer with each word. Finally, he hands the phone back. Sofia. Dominic's voice wraps around me, even through the phone line. Listen very carefully. You're not going back to your apartment. Vincent is bringing you directly to the Westchester property. Elena is already being moved there as we speak. I had medical transport pick her up an hour ago. You had no right. I had every right. Someone just threatened your life. Do you understand what that means? This isn't a game anymore. This is war, and you're caught in the middle whether you chose it or not. He pauses, and when he speaks again, his voice has softened slightly. I'm going to protect you, Sofia, but you have to trust me. Can you do that? Can I trust a man I've known for less than 24 hours? A man who admits to running criminal operations? A man whose wife was murdered and whose enemies clearly have no qualms about adding me to their body count? I look down at the bracelet on my wrist, at the journal in my bag that might hold answers worth killing for, at the photograph showing me marked, targeted, seen. Yes, I hear myself say. I trust you. Good. I'll meet you at the house in 2 hours. Don't open that journal until I get there. Whatever's in it, we read it together. He hangs up before I can argue. Vincent meets my eyes in the rearview mirror. You okay, miss? Russo? No, but I will be. I hope that's true. The drive north feels eternal. We leave the city behind, trading congestion for suburbs, then suburbs for estates hidden behind gates and walls. Vincent makes several unexpected turns, doubles back twice, clearly checking for tails. My phone buzzes constantly, my coffee shop boss asking where I am, my cleaning service supervisor saying I've been terminated effective immediately, 3 missed calls from a number I don't recognize. Don't answer those, Vincent says when I reach for my phone. Your old life ended this morning. Better to make a clean break. I can't just disappear. People will ask questions. Let them ask. Mr. Salvatore has already seeded a cover story. You and your sister left the city for her health, relocated to California for treatment. Your landlord has been paid through the end of your lease. Your belongings will be shipped wherever you want them. The efficiency of it is almost frightening. In less than 6 hours, Dominic has dismantled my entire existence and rebuilt it according to his specifications. We finally turn onto a private road marked only by a small bronze plaque. Salvatore Estate. The driveway winds through manicured grounds, bare November trees, a frozen pond, gardens sleeping under mulch. Then the house comes into view. It's beautiful. A modern interpretation of Italian villa architecture, all cream stone and large windows, somehow managing to look both imposing and welcoming. Not as massive as I expected, but substantial. Security cameras are visible at intervals, and I spot at least 3 men positioned around the property. Vincent pulls up to the main entrance. A woman in her 60s emerges, her gray hair pulled into an elegant bun, wearing slacks and a cardigan that probably cost more than my car. Miss Russo, I'm Maria Constantini. I manage Mr. Salvatore's household. Her accent is pure Brooklyn Italian. Your sister arrived about an hour ago. She's resting comfortably in the East Wing, under the care of Nurse Kimberly. Would you like to see her first? Please. I follow her inside, barely registering the interior design. All I care about is Elena. The East Wing turns out to be a suite of rooms that look more like a luxury hotel than a medical facility. Elena lies in a massive bed, propped up with pillows, an IV in her arm, but her eyes are open and alert. Sofia? Her voice is weak but surprised. What's happening? These people said you arranged for me to come here, but this doesn't make sense. Where are we? I move to her bedside, take her hand carefully, avoiding the IV. It's okay, I'll explain everything. But first, how are you feeling? Better than I have in weeks. They gave me anti-nausea medication that actually works. Can you imagine? She studies my face, and I see the moment concern replaces confusion. Soph, you're scaring me. What did you do? I found a way to save you. I squeeze her hand gently. That's all that matters. The nurse Kimberly, young, competent-looking, steps forward. Your sister's vitals are stable. Dr. Chen will be here tomorrow morning to do a full evaluation and discuss the treatment protocol. For now, she needs rest. Elena's grip tightens on my hand. Don't leave me alone here. I'm right down the hall. I promise. I lean down, kiss her forehead. Sleep. When you wake up, I'll tell you everything. It's a lie. I'll tell her edited version that won't terrify her, but she doesn't need to know that. Maria shows me to my own room, another suite. This one decorated in soft grays and blues, with a balcony overlooking the grounds. My suitcase is already there, unpacked, my clothes hanging in the closet. Mr. Salvatore will arrive within the hour, Maria says. He asks that you wait for him in the library. I'll show you where it is when you're ready. I'm ready now. The library is exactly what I'd expect from a man who studied Italian literature. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, leather furniture, a fireplace with actual fire crackling. Windows look out onto the grounds, showing the sun starting to set, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. I settle into one of the chairs, pull out the journal, But don't open it. Dominic said to wait. So I wait, and try not to think about the man who drew his finger across his throat. The photograph proving I'm being watched. The reality that I've traded one impossible situation for another that might be worse. The bracelet catches firelight. Emeralds winking like green eyes. Julia's bracelet, a dead woman's jewelry that's somehow become the key to everything. Beautiful, isn't it? Dominic's voice comes from the doorway. I turn. He's changed clothes, dark jeans, a gray sweater, looking more human than the polished businessman from this afternoon. But his eyes are still haunted, still holding grief that 2 years hasn't diminished. I wondered what happened to it, he continues, walking into the library. Told myself it didn't matter, that it was just metal and stones. But seeing it on your wrist yesterday. He trails off, takes the seat across from me. It felt like she was trying to tell me something, like she found a way to speak from beyond the grave. Do you believe in that? Messages from the dead? I believe my wife was murdered. I believe Catherine DeLuca knew something about it, and I believe that journal you found is going to tell us what. He holds out his hand. May I? I give him the journal. Watch his face as he opens it, begins reading the Italian script. His expression shifts through multiple emotions: recognition, surprise, anger, something that looks like devastation. What does it say? It says he stops, composes himself. Catherine was keeping a record. Of conversations with Julia, of threats Julia had been receiving, of a name that appears over and over. He looks up at me, and the fury in his eyes makes me flinch. My cousin, Marco Salvatore. He was threatening my wife, trying to force her to convince me to step down as head of the family. And when she refused to help him, when she told him she'd go to me with what he was planning, he killed her. He killed her. The words come out barely above a whisper. My own blood. My father's sister's son. The man I trusted with territory, with operations, with family secrets. He murdered Julia to punish me for not being the weak leader he wanted, to teach me a lesson about loyalty. The journal trembles in his hands. I take it gently, set it aside before he can destroy it in his rage. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. The bracelet, I say quietly. Catherine must have gotten it from the accident scene, kept it as insurance against Marco. Proof that she knew what happened, which is why he killed her too. 6 months ago, when he finally tracked down where the bracelet was, Dominic stands abruptly, paces to the window, and then Catherine's estate was sold. The bracelet surfaced. You bought it, wore it, walked into my office like fate delivered you to me. Or Marco let it surface intentionally, to see who'd find it, to flush out anyone who might know what it meant. He turns to face me, which means you're in more danger than I realized. Marco doesn't leave loose ends, Sofia. And you're the loosest end imaginable, someone who can place that bracelet in Catherine's possession, someone who can testify about where it came from. The implications wash over me like ice water. The note today, the man watching, that was Marco. Or his people, which amounts to the same thing. He crosses to me, kneels, so we're eye level. I need you to listen very carefully. Marco is going to come for you. He has to protect himself. Which means from this moment forward, you don't leave this property without me. You don't speak to anyone I haven't vetted, and you absolutely do not take off that bracelet. Why not? Because it's evidence. Because Catherine clearly wanted it found. And because he touches the bracelet gently, his fingers brushing my wrist. Because while you're wearing it, you're connected to Julia. You're under her protection, in a way, and that means you're under mine. His hand lingers on my wrist, warm and steady. Our eyes meet, and something passes between us. Understanding, maybe. Recognition of two people caught in currents beyond their control, choosing to swim together rather than drown separately. What happens now? I ask. Now I go to war with my cousin. I call in every favor, activate every alliance, make it clear that Marco Salvatore is a dead man for what he did. His voice is cold steel. And you stay here, stay safe, and help me build the case that will justify what I'm about to do to him. Justify it to who? The other families. The commission. There are rules, Sofia, even in my world. You can't kill family without cause, without proof, without permission from those who have the authority to grant it. He stands, helps me up. That journal is proof. Your testimony about where you found the bracelet is proof. Together, it's enough to condemn him. And if he gets to me first, silences me before I can testify, he won't. Dominic's hands frame my face, forcing me to focus on him instead of my fear. I failed to protect Julia. I won't fail to protect you. Do you understand? Whatever it takes, whatever I have to do, you will survive this. The intensity in his eyes, in his touch, in his voice, steals my breath. This isn't just about justice for his wife anymore. Somehow, in less than 2 days, I've become something more to him than a means to an end. Okay, I whisper. I trust you. Good. He releases me slowly, steps back. Maria will show you to dinner. Try to eat. Try to rest. Tomorrow we start planning how to end this. He's almost to the door when I call out. Dominic? He turns. Thank you. For Elena's treatment. For protecting us. For giving me a choice when you could have just taken what you needed. Something softens in his expression. Thank you for wearing her bracelet. For bringing her back to me. In a way, for giving me purpose beyond just surviving day to day. Then he's gone, leaving me alone in the library with a dead woman's diary and the weight of choices I can't unmake. I look down at the bracelet, run my finger over the engraved vines, the green emeralds. Julia Salvatore wore this. Loved it. Died while wearing it. And now it's on my wrist, connecting me to her story, her murder, her husband's grief. I hope I'm doing right by you, I whisper to a woman I never met. I hope this is what you wanted. The fire crackles. Outside, security lights flicker on as darkness falls. And somewhere in the city, Marco Salvatore is planning how to eliminate the threat I represent. The war has begun, and I'm standing at the center of it, wearing a dead woman's bracelet like armor, hoping it's enough to keep me alive. Dinner is served in a dining room that could seat 20, but feels intimate with just Dominic and me at one end of the table. Maria has prepared ossobuco, the rich smell of braised veal and saffron risotto filling the space. I pick at my food, appetite stolen by anxiety and the weight of everything I've learned today. Dominic notices. You need to eat. Tomorrow will be difficult. How can you be so calm? You just found out your cousin murdered your wife. I'm not calm. I'm controlled. There's a difference. He sets down his fork, the gesture precise and deliberate. I've suspected Marco for months. Had no proof, but my instincts told me he was involved. Finding confirmation doesn't change what I have to do. It just gives me permission to do it. Which is what, exactly? Present the evidence to the commission. The 5 family heads who govern organized crime in the Northeast. They'll review Catherine's journal, hear your testimony about the bracelet, and vote on whether Marco deserves death for breaking our most sacred rule. You don't kill family without sanction. He picks up his wine glass, studies the deep red liquid. The vote needs to be unanimous. 4 votes in my favor, I can execute him myself. 3 or less, and I have to accept their judgment, even if it means letting him live. And if they vote against you, they won't. Not with the evidence we have. But something in his tone suggests doubt. Uncertainty he's trying to hide. Marco has been consolidating power, making alliances I wasn't paying attention to because I was too buried in grief. He's convinced some of the other families that I'm weak, that my marriage to Julia made me soft, that I care more about civilians than business. Do you? He meets my eyes. I cared about one civilian. She's dead because of it. Now I care about another. And history is repeating, itself in ways I can't control. The admission hangs between us, heavy with meaning neither of us is ready to examine. When is this commission meeting? 3 days. Marco doesn't know we have the journal yet. Doesn't know you found Catherine's evidence. That gives us an advantage. He'll be unprepared, won't have time to build a defense or eliminate witnesses. Dominic's jaw tightens. But it also means these next 72 hours are the most dangerous. He'll be desperate to silence you before the meeting. As if summoned by our conversation, Vincent appears in the doorway. His expression is grim. Sir, we have a situation. Marco just arrived at the front gate. Says he needs to speak with you urgently. He has 4 men with him, all armed. I feel the blood drain from my face. Dominic stands slowly, his entire demeanor shifting. The man across from me at dinner disappears, replaced by something harder, more dangerous. Sofia, go to your room. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except Maria or me. He's already moving toward the door. Vincent, how many men do we have on property? 8, sir, plus myself. Even odds then. Tell Marco I'll meet him in the driveway. Neutral ground, but his men stay at the gate. This conversation happens one-on-one or not at all. Dominic, wait. I grab his arm. What if he tries to kill you? Then he starts a war he can't win. Marco is arrogant, but he's not stupid. He's here to probe, to figure out what I know. His hand covers mine briefly. I'll be fine. Just stay hidden. But I don't go to my room. Instead, I follow at a distance, staying in the shadows of the house, watching through a window as Dominic walks out to meet his cousin. Marco Salvatore is shorter than Dominic, stockier, with the same dark hair but eyes that hold calculation instead of grief. He spreads his arms in a gesture of false warmth as Dominic approaches. Cousin, it's been too long. You don't return my calls. You don't attend family dinners. People are starting to think you've forgotten where you came from. I've been busy. Dominic's voice carries through the cold night air. What do you want, Marco? Can't I visit family without an interrogation? Marco's smile doesn't reach his eyes. But since you ask, I heard something interesting today. A woman was seen at Catherine DeLuca's old apartment, accompanied by your security. Care to explain why you're suddenly interested in a dead woman's home? Catherine was Julia's godmother. I'm settling her estate. 2 years later. That's quite a delay. Marco moves closer, and I see Dominic's posture shift slightly, ready for violence. This wouldn't have anything to do with certain items that went missing from Julia's accident scene, would it? Items that might have ended up in Catherine's possession? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? Marco's voice drops, becomes dangerous. Because I've been hearing rumors, Dominic, about a bracelet, about evidence that could be very inconvenient for certain people. And I'd hate for something to happen to anyone who might be caught in the middle of family business they don't understand. It's a threat, thinly veiled, but unmistakable. Dominic steps into Marco's space, and even from my window I can feel the menace radiating off him. If you're threatening someone under my protection, cousin, you should reconsider, very carefully. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm offering friendly advice. Marco steps back, hands raised in mock surrender. But you should know the commission has questions about your judgment lately. About whether grief has made you unstable, paranoid, seeing conspiracy where there's only tragedy. He turns to leave, then pauses. It would be unfortunate if you brought baseless accusations against family. The kind of accusations that could damage your standing permanently. The only thing that will be damaged is you. If you come near what's mine again. Marco laughs. A sound without humor. Everything you have was given to you by family, Dominic. Never forget that. And what family gives, family can take away. He walks back to the gate, gestures to his men, and they disappear into the night. Dominic stands in the driveway for a long moment after they leave, his shoulders rigid with tension. Then he turns and walks back toward the house. I move away from the window quickly, but not quickly enough. I told you to go to your room. His voice comes from behind me, not angry, just weary. I don't take orders well. You should probably know that about me. He almost smiles. I'm beginning to understand that. He moves past me toward his study. Come, we need to talk about what just happened. The study is smaller than his office at Regent Tower, more personal. The desk is covered with papers, photographs, maps. The walls hold more pictures of Julia, candid shots that show her laughing, dancing, living in ways the formal portraits don't capture. Dominic pours himself whiskey, offers me one. I accept this time. My hands are shaking. He knows, I say. About the bracelet, about me, about everything. He suspects. There's a difference. Dominic takes a long drink. But you're right, he knows something has changed. That I'm investigating Julia's death actively instead of just drowning in grief. And that makes him nervous. Nervous people do desperate things. Yes, they do. He sets down his glass, moves to look at the photographs of his wife. Marco was always ambitious. Even as kids, he wanted what I had. My father's approval, my position in the family, my inheritance. When Julia and I got married, it made him furious. He said I was betraying family by bringing an outsider into our world. But you loved her, more than anything. His voice cracks slightly. She was light in a life that had only known darkness. She made me believe I could be something more than what I was born to be. And Marco couldn't stand that I'd found happiness he'd never have. I moved to stand beside him, looking at Julia's face in the photographs. She was beautiful, yes. But more than that, she looked kind, genuine. The type of person who'd choose to be a pediatric nurse despite probably being able to do anything else. She would have liked you, Dominic says quietly. Julia had a gift for seeing people's true selves. She would have recognized your strength, your determination to save your sister no matter the cost. She would have wanted me to help you. Is that why you're doing this? For her? I'm doing this because Marco murdered my wife and needs to pay for it. I'm doing this because he threatened you, which means he threatened something He stops, seems to reconsider his words, something I have a responsibility to protect. But that's not what he was going to say. We both know it. The moment stretches between us, heavy with things we're not ready to acknowledge. Then his phone rings, shattering the tension. He answers in Italian, his expression growing darker with each word. When he hangs up, he's pale. What's wrong? That was one of my informants. Marco just called an emergency family meeting. Tomorrow night. He's making a formal accusation against me, claiming I've lost control, that I'm fabricating conspiracy theories about Julia's death, that I'm a liability to family business. Dominic's hands clench into fists. He's trying to have me removed as head of the family before I can present evidence against him. Can he do that? If he convinces enough of the other families. Yes. The commission has the power to remove a family head who's deemed unfit to lead. It's rare, but it happens. He runs a hand through his hair, destroying its usual perfect order. This accelerates everything. The commission meeting moves up to tomorrow night, which means we have less than 24 hours to prepare your testimony, secure the journal's authentication, and build an airtight case. What do you need me to do? Right. Now? Sleep. Tomorrow morning, you'll meet with my lawyer, a man who specializes in navigating commission politics. He'll prepare you for what to expect, how to present your evidence, what questions you'll face. Dominic moves closer, and I catch that scent of cedar and bergamot again. They'll try to intimidate you, Sofia. They'll question your motives, suggest you're lying for money or revenge or a dozen other reasons. You have to stay calm, stay factual, and most importantly, don't let them make you doubt what you know is true. I can handle it. I know you can. His hand comes up, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear in a gesture so intimate it makes my breath catch. I've never met anyone as strong as you. The way you've fought for Elena. The way you walked into danger today without hesitation. He stops, seeming to struggle with what to say. Julia was brave too, but in different ways, quieter ways. You're like a storm, Sofia. Fierce and impossible to ignore. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. And yes, it's a compliment. His thumb brushes my cheek, a touch so gentle it contrasts starkly with the violence he's capable of. I told myself I wouldn't do this, wouldn't let myself feel anything for you beyond responsibility for keeping you safe. But standing here now, seeing you wear her bracelet, knowing you're willing to testify against my cousin despite the danger. Dominic, let me finish. His other hand frames my face, tilting my chin up so I have to meet his eyes. When Julia died, something in me died with her. I've spent 2 years going through motions, existing without living, convinced I'd never feel anything real again. Then you walked into my office and proved me wrong. My heart pounds so hard I'm certain he can hear it. This isn't real. It's adrenaline, danger, proximity. It's real. Maybe it's too fast, too complicated, built on circumstances that shouldn't bring people together, but it's real, Sofia. And I need you to know that before tomorrow. Before you walk into a room full of dangerous men and put your life on the line for me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for justice. For Julia. For Elena's treatment. I know. That's why I'm falling for you. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. He kisses me before I can overthink it, before I can list all the reasons this is a terrible idea. His lips are surprisingly soft, the kiss gentle despite the passion I can feel him restraining. It tastes like whiskey and grief, and promises neither of us should be making. I kiss him back anyway, my hands fisting in his sweater, pulling him closer even as my rational mind screams warnings. This is dangerous, not because of Marco or the commission or the violence surrounding us, but because I'm starting to care about Dominic Salvatore in ways that have nothing to do with Elena's treatment or my own survival. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. I should go. I manage. Should get some sleep before tomorrow. Sofia, please don't apologize. Don't tell me it was a mistake. Just let me go before we both do something we'll regret. I leave before he can respond, practically running to my room, the bracelet on my wrist seeming to burn with accusation. What would Julia think, seeing her husband kiss another woman while wearing her jewelry? Would she understand? Or would she hate me for taking her place? But I'm not taking her place. I remind myself as I lock my bedroom door and lean against it. I'm helping solve her murder. Everything else is just complicated. Sleep doesn't come easily. I lie awake, watching moonlight paint patterns on the ceiling, thinking about tomorrow, about facing a room full of men who make their living through violence and intimidation, about the journal that proves Marco's guilt, about Dominic's hands on my face and the way he looked at me like I was something precious instead of just a means to an end. My phone, the regular one, not the secure one, buzzes with a text. Unknown number. You have one chance to live. Give back the bracelet. Leave the city. Forget everything you've seen, or your sister dies slowly, painfully, while you watch. You have until noon tomorrow. Choose wisely. The message includes a photograph. Elena, asleep in her bed, here at the estate. Taken from outside her window. They're here, on the property, close enough to photograph Elena through glass. I'm out of my room and running, before conscious thought catches up. Down the hallway, bursting into Dominic's study where he's still awake, still working. They're here. I shove the phone at him. Look, they got to Elena's room. They're on the grounds right now. His face goes white, then floods with fury. He's on his radio immediately, barking orders. Full lockdown. Seal the property. Find whoever breached the perimeter and bring them to me alive. He grabs my hand. Show me which room. We run through the house, Vincent and 3 other armed men materializing to follow us. Elena's room is in the east wing, ground floor for easy medical access. The curtains are drawn now, but when Dominic carefully parts them, we can see the angle where the photo was taken. There, he points to a cluster of trees 50 yards from the house. Perfect sightline. Vincent, take 2 men and sweep that area. Thermal imaging, the works. I want whoever took that photo found. They disappear into the night. I move to Elena's bedside, check her vitals on the monitor. She's fine, sleeping peacefully, unaware that someone was photographing her through the window while she slept. How did they get past security? My voice shakes with equal parts fear and rage. You said this place was safe. It should be. Unless... Dominic's expression turns thunderous. Unless someone on my security team is working for Marco, feeding him information, giving him access. He's already texting, making calls, his voice a quiet fury. I'm bringing in outside security. People Marco doesn't know, can't have compromised. They'll be here within the hour. That doesn't help us now. The message said noon tomorrow. I checked the time. 10 hours from now. You're not giving him the bracelet. He's threatening to kill Elena. He's threatening to kill her either way. Dominic grips my shoulders, forcing me to focus on him instead of my panic. Listen to me. If you give Marco that bracelet, he destroys the only physical evidence linking him to Julia's death. Then he kills you both anyway, because you're still witnesses who know too much. The only way to save Elena is to go forward with the testimony, get Marco convicted by the commission, and eliminate the threat permanently. And if we fail, if they don't believe us, then I kill him myself and accept whatever consequences come. There's no hesitation in his voice. I won't let him hurt you or your sister. I promise you that, Sofia. Vincent returns, his expression grim. Found boot prints, cigarette butts. Whoever it was is gone now, probably went over the north wall where the cameras have a blind spot. We're expanding coverage. But sir, he pauses, clearly not wanting to deliver bad news. We found something else. Tommy's body. In the security shed. Throat cut, maybe 2 hours ago. Tommy, the youngest member of Dominic's security team, 23 years old, engaged to be married next spring. I'd met him briefly when we arrived, been struck by his easy smile. Now he was dead, because of me, because Marco needed access to this property, and Tommy was in the way. Call his family, Dominic says, his voice hollow. Full compensation package, funeral expenses, pension for his fiancée. And find the leak. Someone told Marco which guard would be easiest to eliminate. I want to know who. By morning. The rest of the night passes in heightened security. More men arrive, hard-faced professionals who make Vincent's team look soft by comparison. They sweep the entire property, install additional cameras, establish patrol patterns that leave no blind spots. Elena is moved to an interior room with no windows, reinforced door, and a guard stationed outside. I'm moved, too, to a room next to Dominic's, with Maria sleeping in a chair by my door like an armed grandmother. Dawn comes gray and cold. I shower, dress in the clothes someone has laid out for me, a navy suit that's somehow exactly my size. Professional armor for the battle ahead. Dominic's lawyer arrives at 8 a.m. His name is Gerald Stein, 60 years old with silver hair and the kind of presence that suggests he's argued cases in front of the Supreme Court. Which, he informs me, he has. The commission operates like a court, but with different rules, he explains in Dominic's study. The journal sits on the desk between us, now protected in an archival sleeve. 5 judges, no jury. They'll hear Marco's accusation against Dominic first that he's unfit to lead. We'll counter with evidence of Marco's crime. Your testimony is crucial, Miss Russo. You're the link between Catherine DeLuca and the bracelet, the person who can place that evidence in her possession. What will they ask me? Everything. Where you found it, why you bought it, why you wore it, why you didn't report it to authorities. They'll suggest you stole it, that you're fabricating the connection to extort money from Dominic, that you're lying to protect him because you're romantically involved. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Your job is to stay calm, answer truthfully, and don't let them rattle you. We practice for hours. Gerald throws every question, every accusation, every trap at me. By noon, the deadline Marco gave me, I'm exhausted but prepared. The message comes at exactly 12 p.m. Wrong choice. You'll regret it. Nothing happens. No attack, no explosion, no evidence that Marco is making good on his threat, which somehow makes it worse, the waiting, the anticipation of violence that doesn't come. He's saving it for tonight, Dominic says when I show him the message. He'll make a move at the commission meeting, try to discredit us, eliminate our evidence, maybe even attempt violence if he's desperate enough. His hand finds mine, squeezes gently, but we'll be ready. I won't let him hurt you, Sofia. I swear it. The commission meets in a warehouse in Red Hook, neutral territory, controlled by none of the 5 families, secured by independent contractors who answer to all and none of them. We arrive at 7 p.m. in a convoy of 3 vehicles, Dominic and me in the center car with Vincent driving. Remember, Gerald says from the front seat. Let me do most of the talking. You only speak when directly questioned. Be respectful, call them sir. Never interrupt, maintain eye contact but don't stare. And whatever happens, don't show fear. These men respect strength above all else. The warehouse interior has been transformed into something resembling a courtroom. 5 chairs arranged in a semicircle on a raised platform. 2 tables facing them, one for Dominic, one for Marco. Guards positioned around the perimeter. Maybe 30 people total in the space. All men, all watching us enter, with expressions ranging from curiosity to hostility. Marco is already seated at his table with his own lawyer. He smirks when he sees me, then makes a show of looking shocked, as if he didn't expect me to appear. Cousin, you brought your cleaning woman to a commission hearing? How? Unconventional. Dominic's hand on my back is the only thing keeping me from responding. We take our seats, Gerald between us, the journal in a briefcase at his feet. The 5 commission members enter at exactly 7:30 p.m. I recognize 2 from photos I've seen. Carmine Ricci of the New Jersey family, Giuseppe De Laurentiis, from Boston. The others are strangers, but their bearing makes their importance clear. These are men who've spent decades accumulating power through violence and strategy. Carmine Ricci, clearly the senior member, takes the center seat. He's in his 70s, white hair, expensive suit, eyes that miss nothing. This commission is called to order. We're here to address accusations made by Marco Salvatore regarding his cousin Dominic's fitness to lead the New York family. He looks at Marco. Present your case. Marco stands, his lawyer beside him. Esteemed members, thank you for hearing me on short notice. For 2 years, I've watched my cousin spiral into grief over his wife's death. Understandable, certainly, but problematic for family business. Dominic has become paranoid, seeing conspiracy where there's only tragedy. He's making dangerous accusations against family members based on nothing but his own delusions. Specifically, Ricci asks, he believes I murdered his wife, that I orchestrated her death as some kind of power play. Marco's voice drips with false sorrow. It's painful to hear him say such things. Julia was like a sister to me. Her death devastated our entire family. But Dominic can't accept that it was simply a tragic accident. He's invented an elaborate conspiracy theory, and now he's brought in this, he gestures at me dismissively, woman, to help him sell his delusions. Gerald stands. If I may address the commission? Ricci nods. Mr. Marco Salvatore is correct that Dominic struggled with grief, but new evidence has come to light, proving his suspicions were justified. Evidence that will demonstrate Marco's guilt beyond any doubt. Gerald opens the briefcase, removes the journal. This is the personal diary of Catherine De Luca, Julia Salvatore's godmother. It details threats Marco made against Julia, his demands that she convince Dominic to step down, and her refusal to cooperate. He passes the journal to Ricci, who pages through it with increasing interest. The other commission members lean in, reading over his shoulder. This is in Italian, one of them says. We have a certified translation. Gerald provides documents, but I can summarize the relevant entries. October 12, 2 years ago, 2 weeks before Julia's death, she writes, Marco came to the hospital today, waited until my shift ended, cornered me in the parking garage, said Dominic is making the family weak, that his marriage to me is a liability. He wants me to convince Dominic to retire, let Marco take over operations. I refused. He said I'd regret it. There are 4 similar entries over the following 2 weeks, each escalating in threat level. Marco's lawyer stands. This proves nothing. The diary could be fabricated. The handwriting has been authenticated by a forensic specialist. Gerald interrupts. We have her analysis here, along with samples of Catherine De Luca's verified writing from legal documents. It's genuine, even if the diary is real. Marco says, anger bleeding through his composure now. It only proves I had disagreements with Julia. It doesn't prove I killed her. No, Dominic stands, and every eye in the room turns to him. But this does. I stand too, holding up my wrist so the bracelet catches the overhead lights. The emeralds flash green fire. This bracelet belonged to Julia, Dominic says. I gave it to her on our first anniversary. She was wearing it the night she died. The police told me it was lost in the accident, probably at the bottom of the East River. But 3 weeks ago, Sofia Russo, he gestures to me, purchased it at Catherine De Luca's estate sale for $5. The room erupts in murmurs. Ricci holds up a hand for silence. Miss Russo, please approach and explain how you came to possess this bracelet. My legs feel like water as I walk forward, but I keep my spine straight, my voice steady. I tell them about the estate sale, about finding the bracelet in the jewelry box, about wearing it to Dominic's office without knowing its significance. Why did you buy it? One of the other commission members asks. I needed money. My sister has cancer. The bracelet was valuable. I planned to sell it to help pay for her treatment. Why didn't you? Because before I could, I wore it to clean Mr. Salvatore's office. He recognized it immediately, and then we began to understand what it meant. Which is what, exactly? Ricci's voice is sharp, testing. I take a breath, channel all of Gerald's training, that Catherine De Luca had the bracelet, that she must have retrieved it from the accident scene, or received it from someone who did, that she kept it hidden for 2 years, probably as insurance against whoever killed Julia. And when Catherine died 6 months ago, supposedly of natural causes, the bracelet was planted in her estate sale to surface without directly connecting to Marco. That's speculation. Marco's lawyer objects. It's the only logical explanation, Gerald counters. Catherine's diary proves she knew Marco threatened Julia. The bracelet proves Catherine had evidence from the accident scene, and Catherine's convenient death 6 months ago, just as she was beginning to speak publicly about wanting to tell the truth about Julia's last days. That's not coincidence. That's covering tracks. Ricci leans back, studying Marco with new scrutiny. Do you have anything to say to these accusations? Marco stands slowly. His mask has slipped completely now, revealing the rage beneath. This is a setup. Dominic manufactured evidence to frame me because he can't accept that his precious wife died in a simple accident. That diary could have been written by anyone. The bracelet could have been taken from Catherine's apartment at any time. And this woman, he points at me, is obviously Dominic's mistress, lying to help him achieve his vendetta. I'm not his mistress. My voice cuts through the room. I'm a pediatric oncology nurse who's Newman, been working 3 jobs trying to save my sister's life. I have no connection to your family, no investment in your politics. I simply found a bracelet, wore it, and ended up in the middle of something I never wanted to be part of. Then why are you here? Marco demands. Why testify against me if you have no stake in this? Because Giulia Salvatore deserves justice. Because Catherine DeLuca was murdered for trying to tell the truth. And because you threatened to kill my sister if I didn't give you back evidence of your crime. I pull out my phone, show the commission the threatening messages. You sent these yesterday. Photographed my sister through her window to intimidate me. Had one of Mr. Salvatore's security guards killed to gain access to his property. Those are facts, not speculation. The commission members pass my phone between them, reading the messages, examining the photograph of Elena. These came from your number? Ricci asks Marco. Of course not. Anyone could have sent those, claiming to be me. The messages were traced, Gerald interrupts, to a phone registered to one of Marco's lieutenants. We have the cell tower data, the forensic analysis. The same phone that sent those threats was also in the vicinity of Catherine DeLuca's apartment the day she died. For the first time, I see fear flicker across Marco's face. He's losing, and he knows it. You're framing me, he says, but his voice lacks conviction now. All of this is manufactured. Enough. Ricci's voice silences the room. This commission will deliberate. Marco Salvatore, Dominic Salvatore, your lawyers and witnesses will wait outside. We'll summon you when we've reached a verdict. The next hour is the longest of my life. We wait in a converted office space, guards stationed at the door, Vincent pacing like a caged animal. Dominic sits very still, his hand holding mine, thumb tracing circles on my palm that might be soothing if I could feel anything beyond fear. What happens if they vote against us? I whisper. They won't. But his grip on my hand tightens. They can't ignore that evidence. Marco could have bought some of them. Could have. Sofia. He turns to face me fully. Whatever happens in there, you're safe. If the commission doesn't convict him, I'll handle Marco myself. And if that means I have to walk away from the family, from everything I've built, then that's what I'll do. You and Elena are more important than power. You can't mean that. I've never meant anything more. His hand cups my face. 2 days ago, you were a stranger. Now I can't imagine my life without you in it. That's not strategy or grief or desperation. That's truth. Sofia, and I need you to know it before we go back in there. I want to tell him I feel the same. That somewhere between the danger and the desperation, I've fallen for him in ways that make no logical sense. But before I can find the words, the door opens. The commission is ready. We file back into the warehouse. The 5 men sit in their elevated positions, faces grave. Ricci holds a piece of paper, the verdict, written and signed. This commission has reviewed all evidence presented regarding Marco Salvatore's alleged involvement in the death of Giulia Salvatore and Catherine DeLuca. His voice carries through the silent space. We have examined the diary entries, the bracelet's provenance, the threatening messages, and the testimony of Sofia Russo. He pauses, and my heart stops. By unanimous vote, we find Marco Salvatore guilty of orchestrating the murder of Giulia Salvatore, of murdering Catherine DeLuca to conceal his crime, and of threatening witnesses to prevent justice. These acts represent the most serious violations of our code, the killing of family without sanction, the involvement of civilians in family business, and the attempt to corrupt commission proceedings through intimidation. Marco goes white. No, you can't. The sentence is death. Ricci's voice is implacable. To be carried out by the wronged party, Dominic Salvatore, at his discretion. All Marco Salvatore's territories, operations, and assets are hereby transferred to Dominic's control. This is the commission's judgment, and it is final. Guards move toward Marco before he can run. He fights, screaming obscenities, making threats that ring hollow now. They drag him toward a door at the back of the warehouse. Dominic stands. His face is calm, but I can see the storm beneath. The commission has my thanks for their just verdict. I'll carry out the sentence tonight. Ricci nods. Miss Russo. He looks directly at me. You showed courage in coming here, in testifying despite obvious danger. Your sister's medical care will be supervised by this commission as well as Dominic, ensuring she receives the best treatment regardless of other complications. You have our protection and respect. It's a dismissal and a guarantee. I'm under the commission's protection now, not just Dominic's, which means even his enemies can't touch me without risking war with all 5 families. We're escorted out through a different door. Vincent leads us to the cars, and I realize I'm shaking. It's over, Dominic says quietly. You're safe now. What happens next? To Marco? Justice. The kind the courts can't provide. His voice is cold. Don't ask me for details, Sophia. Let me keep that part of my world separate from you. I nod, understanding what he's not saying. That he's about to kill his cousin. That he needs to do it personally. To close this chapter of grief and betrayal. That some darkness has to be carried alone. Take her back to the house, Dominic tells Vincent. Stay with her until I return. Dominic. I catch his arm. He kisses me. Hard and desperate and full of things we haven't said. Then he's gone. Disappearing into the night, with 2 men. Going to execute the sentence the commission passed. I don't sleep that night. Can't. Knowing what's happening somewhere in Helfedid, the city. Vincent stays in my room, silent and solid, occasionally checking his phone for updates he doesn't share. Dawn is breaking when Dominic finally returns. I hear the cars arrive, hear Vincent leave to speak with him. Then footsteps in the hallway, and my door opens. He looks exhausted. There's blood on his shirt cuff that makes me flinch, but his eyes are clearer than I've seen them, like some weight has finally lifted. It's done, he says simply. Marco is dead. The threat is over. I cross to him, take his hands carefully, avoiding the blood. How do you feel? Empty. Relieved. Guilty for feeling relieved. He pulls me against him, burying his face in my hair. I loved him once. When we were kids, before ambition poisoned him. Part of me will always grieve the cousin I lost long before tonight. That's what makes you different from him. You still feel, still grieve, still love. We stand like that until the sun fully rises. Then Maria appears with coffee, and the household begins to wake, and life slowly returns to something resembling normal. 3 months later, Elena's cancer is in remission. The experimental treatment worked better than anyone dared hope. She's gained weight, gotten her color back, started talking about the future in ways she hadn't for years. I've moved permanently into the Westchester house, officially as household manager, but really as something I don't have words for yet. Dominic and I are building something slowly, carefully, learning each other in ways that don't involve danger and death threats. The bracelet sits in a jewelry box in my dresser. I don't wear it anymore. It feels wrong somehow. Like I was only meant to wear it long enough to bring truth to light. But I keep it safe, this piece of Julia that found its way to me against all odds. Do you think she'd approve? I asked Dominic one evening. We're in the library, reading, existing in comfortable silence. Of us, I mean. He considers the question seriously. I think she'd be happy I found a way to live instead of just survive. That I'm honoring her memory by moving forward instead of staying frozen in grief. He sets down his book, pulls me close. And I think she'd like you. Very much. I wish I could have known her. Me too. She would have appreciated your strength, your determination to save Elena no matter what it cost. She was like that, fiercely protective of people she loved. He kisses my temple. You're not replacing her, Sophia. You're writing a different chapter. That's allowed. Elena moves in permanently the next week, taking over the West Wing with her painting supplies and plans to return to school. The house feels full in ways it hasn't in years. Maria cooks elaborate meals. Vincent's team becomes familiar faces instead of anonymous security. Slowly, without planning it, we become a family. I return to school too, finishing the art history degree I abandoned 3 years ago. Dominic funds a gallery space in Manhattan where I can curate exhibitions, teach classes, do the work I always dreamed of without worrying about money. His business operations gradually shift toward legitimate enterprises. Not completely, he's still part of a world I don't ask too many questions about, but enough that I can exist beside him without constant moral compromise. 1 year after I walked into his office wearing a dead woman's bracelet, Dominic proposes. Not with Julia's ring, he's had that buried with her, where it always belonged, but with a new ring, a new promise, a new life we're building together. I can't promise you normalcy, he says, kneeling in the garden where Elena is painting and Maria is pruning roses. My world will always have shadows, always have danger, but I can promise you honesty, partnership, and love that's chosen freely instead of born from trauma. Yes, I say, because the answer has been yes since that first night. Since he looked at me with grief and hope mixed together and offered me a chance to save my sister. We marry in a small ceremony 6 months later. Elena is my maid of honor, healthy and glowing. The commission members attend, bringing expensive gifts and genuine respect. Vincent cries, which shocks everyone. Standing at the altar, wearing a new bracelet Dominic designed for me, silver vines with sapphires instead of emeralds. I think about the chain of impossible events that brought me here. A dying sister, a desperate attempt to earn money, a bracelet marked $5 that was worth so much more. Sometimes the most valuable things find us when we're not looking, when we're just trying to survive, to save the people we love, to make it through one more day. I found a bracelet at an estate sale. I found justice for a murdered woman. I found love in the last place I expected it. And I found myself stronger, braver, more alive than I ever knew I could be. As we're pronounced husband and wife, as Dominic kisses me in front of everyone we love, I feel it. A whisper on the wind, a warmth in the sunlight, a presence that's both there and not there. Julia, I think. Thank you for the bracelet. Thank you for leading me here. Thank you for loving him first, so he knew how to love me now. And I swear I feel her approval, her blessing, her joy that the man she loved has found happiness again. The bracelet was never just jewelry. It was a message, a map, a key that unlocked everything. It was proof that love doesn't end with death. It transforms, guides, protects those left behind. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to wear a dead woman's bracelet, it leads you exactly where you need to be. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.